Warning. This video contains super awesome content not suitable for people who don't enjoy super awesomeness. Viewer discretion advised.
The wrestling podcast that sets all other podcasts apart. Covering news from the world of WWE, AEW, TNA, and more. Your favorite weekly episodic podcast, Ramblers Unleashed, starts now.
Yeah, fresh off the heels of WrestleDream from AEW. Welcome back to your Sunday afternoon delight. Before we get into a whole mess of football, we're going to talk some wrestling today. It is a great afternoon, a very chilly afternoon, kind of a windy afternoon here in southern Illinois. And let's introduce the rest of the Ramblers for you. First up, the man that is higher than a 747 jet airliner, our resident happy guy, and whose catchphrase is and will always be, Baron, please.
$9.99.
Ladies and gentlemen, golfers clap for the one and only Baron. Baron, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, you're good, man.
You're there.
Right. Thank you. Hey, glad to be. Hey, calm down, guys. Glad to be here, man. I love being here. Love talking wrestling, and like you said, man, it's gorgeous out. We got some football coming up in a couple hours, so it's even better. Hopefully, I don't know. Being a Cowboys fan can be rough sometimes on Sunday.
Yeah, I know. I'm cheering for them boys because I don't like the Lions at all. So hopefully Dak, the tack attack, can persevere this. He's
the only one we got. He's the only one we got right now that I can consistently say that he's good. I like.
Yeah, I do like Dak. I do like Dak. We have your $9.99 moment coming up later in the show. Next up, let's introduce the neighborhood heel. A man with more wrestling knowledge in his pinky finger than Tony Khan could ever muster up with his toy figures, and the only guy that I know that pops bigger for Joel Gertner than any of us, and who is practicing his Halloween costume is Zeb Coulter. You may refer to him as Mr. Mages, but we call him the mighty Maximus Mages. Golfers clap. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I brought my own sign for the show today, and I just want to share it with everybody.
Baron's number one ace Ramblers reporter. Hashtag indeed.
Funaki recently made an appearance on WWE TV. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh, yeah.
So, in honor of his return and, Baron being the favorite, I made a Funaki-related sign for Baron.
I love it.
Man.
Indeed.
I love it.
Before you go any further, I got a question for the producer. Sir, do you have the clip of me introducing Dizzy a couple of weeks ago?
No.
You know what that just means?
Just no. Just no.
You have to do it all over again.
Please introduce the producer, and then I'll get up on the spot again.
Finally, the producer of our show, the man, the myth, the absolute legend, and for without his tech wizardry and the gizmos that he brings to the show, plus his vast wrestling knowledge and his missus, who is so kind to gift us her time and his time to do this show. For without him or her, we wouldn't be here today. The host of Smash His Podcast and Total Nonstop Impact with the latest TNA reviews on YouTube over any other podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the great and infamous J Bone. Golfers clap. Which, by the way, we've got your TNA, your total nonstop analysis coming up. Plus, we have from the desk of Max Mages today too. So, J Bone, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Finally on the other side of this little touch of pneumonia I had. Man, it's just sucks. Doing good. Back to work, so kicking ass and taking names.
That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. Glad you're feeling better, and we are getting ready to talk some wrestling. Max, did you want to go ahead and do it?
before we can get into any of that, you always introduce all of us, and you do a beautiful job of it. I was promised that we were going to clip the last time I did this and just play it going forward. But you know what? I can do stuff on the spot. Ladies and gentlemen, the one man who never takes any credit for what he does, the man who sits here and beautifully introduces all of us, the mouth of the show, the guy that gets us all the articles, the man who without, we'd be sitting here and going, what are we going to talk about today? Ladies and gentlemen, it's the man with a face for radio. It is the Dizman, the Rambler himself, Dizzy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Max. That was great. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. And are you guys ready to talk some wrestling?
Yeah.
Because not a lot of news going on in the world of professional wrestling. As at least from what I've seen, usually we share articles and stories in our separate chat for the show, but really not a lot going on. I mean, the big talking points are WrestleDream from AEW last night, which was a mediocre show. I'm kind of over it all. I know. We're going to get into it here in just a few moments. Let's kick things off with some WWE news. And this comes from The Rock. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is here to shut down all the buzz about his potential return to WWE, the ring at WrestleMania 41 specifically. After his jaw-dropping appearance on Bad Blood, fans were in a frenzy speculating that whether the Great One would face Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes next year. But The Rock has kind of made it crystal clear, don't believe the rumors. When a fan asked him directly on Instagram, are you really not working Mania 41? Say it ain't so. The Rock wasted no time in clearing the air, responding, don't believe any of the bullshit. Now, the speculation initially caught fire after Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that despite The Rock's electrifying return at Bad Blood, there are no solid plans for him to compete at Mania 41. Meltzer did note that The Rock's busy schedule is the main reason he won't be stepping into the ring anytime soon. He explained, quote, he already gave word that he wouldn't be able to do that match, end quote. But perhaps, Baron, The Rock was referring, the bullshit that The Rock was referring to was Dave Meltzer, possibly. What do you think?
I mean, he reeks of bullshit, right? I mean, how is Dave Meltzer... How does he have any clue what's going on with The Rock's schedule? I don't even think people back in the wrestling, like backstage area knows his schedule. I mean, because he's a movie star. He's got a lot going on, Oh, yeah. And I'm positive he came out on like one of his videos or something along the lines on Instagram. I could be totally off page here, but I'm pretty positive that he even was talking about working WrestleMania 41. I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest WrestleManias they've had. I mean, it's going to be in Vegas, So I find it hard for The Rock not to be there. And, fuck Dave Meltzer. I'm so over the reports of, people thinking they know what they're talking about. And then they give you the fake reports. And it's always a mess.
Yeah, I mean, Max, Meltzer hasn't always been our go-to source of information, but do you think that The Rock was talking about Meltzer in that post?
Oh, most undoubtedly. I mean, yeah. Meltzer is known for posting stuff and then later going, I told you guys it could change, even when there was absolutely no truth to what he posted to begin with. He has no scruples, and everybody knows that he is a paid shill for AEW at this point.
Yeah.
It has to be. I mean, there's never really too many positive things that come out of any WWE news from him, in my mind at least. But I think there's also a lot of, especially after watching that McMahon documentary, man, he hated him. He hated his ass with a passion, I think, and the company in general. So, yeah.
Yeah. J-Bone, definitely. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, J-Bone, if The Rock actually does make a Mania 41 appearance, but do you think that Rock was referring to the bullshit as of Dave Meltzer?
Yeah, it's just, fake news media, it's, and look, it's, a lot of the world of professional wrestling news is made up, and I ignore a majority of it. I'll go to specific sites and I'll bypass so many articles just because I know it's about speculation. And look, some of that stuff is interesting and it's fun to read, but you gotta be a smarter wrestling fan nowadays, because they're getting slicker and slicker how they word this. Because they'll take a piece of what someone else said, they'll throw their own spin on it and make it sound like real news. And it's like, stop. It's like, we get it. It's just frustrating. So yeah, it's probably aimed at him, but I think it's more just at the fake news media in general for the wrestling world.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they gotta come out with articles. They have to make, journalists have to do something. So anytime anything's spotted on like Twitter or Instagram, there's usually a story made out of it. I hope to see The Rock at WrestleMania 41. Do we need The Rock at WrestleMania 41? No, I don't think we do. I think, I would love to see like Rock versus Roman. That would be fantastic. But if we don't get it, we don't get it. I've spent 30 years of my life not being able to see Sting versus The Undertaker. So, it is what it is at this point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we got to be real about The Rock. He looks like $1 million. He can still go in the ring somewhat. He can still sell. But, I mean, the guy's spleen is like, one gut kick away from, shooting out his ass. Let's be real. That's...
I think a lot of that was Jesus. Okay,
that was against John Cena. Remember that when John Cena raised his hand and he was holding himself? Yeah, he went straight into surgery after that. I don't know if a lot of people know that.
Yeah, he did. I think a lot of people forget though. He's also he's on the board of directors.
Right.
I mean, he's got a stake in WWE, so it's not like he's separating himself from WWE in any way, shape, or form. I mean, he's part of that company. And when, investors and things want him to be there, he'll unfortunately have to be there. So I suspect to see him at WrestleMania 41.
Yeah. Let's keep the WrestleMania 41 talks going because it's time for Baron's $9.99 moment. And as the WWE comes out of the Bad Blood PLE and we gear up for Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, one star who's been making a lot of headlines with her WrestleMania aspirations is, of course, Rhea Ripley. She is the former WWE Women's Champion. And during a recent appearance at a Fanatics Live event, Ripley joined the Up, Up, Down, Down crew. And she answered some burning fan questions, which included what opponents or who she would like to face at WrestleMania. And the rowdy crowd tossed out a bunch of names, but Ripley really had her eyes set on one familiar competitor, Bianca Belair. Now, before we get to your thought, Baron, I kind of wanted to bounce this off of you. If this is true, if Rhea Ripley is really getting ready to start a feud to go to WrestleMania with Bianca, I think this could help Belair, honestly. The tag titles, the tag team run with Jade Cargill has been anything but good, in my personal opinion. And I've really never been sold on Belair, ever. I mean, I think a solid feud with Ripley could be one thing that Bianca really needs to not only help her with her in-ring skills, but also her mic skills that seem to be lacking from her promos. And I think Rhea would be a fitting opponent for Belair. I mean, remember, Ripley faced Belair twice, coming out victorious both times. Their first encounter took place in October 23rd, 2019 during an episode of NXT, and their second match was for the Women's Championship at NXT TakeOver Portland in February 2020. And now the Nightmare is ready to make their third match, the ultimate one, the grandest stage of them all. So, Baron, I kind of wanted to bounce my opinions on my thoughts off of you. Yeah, you know. Hold on.
That sound wasn't directed towards you, Dizzy, in any way, shape, or form.
But what is it directed to? Is it directed to Thought or Rhea or Bianca, or what is it?
I think it's more directed towards the thought of that match happening. I don't care to see it. One thing, I think Bianca is great in the ring. I don't think there's anything wrong with her in the ring. I think she can work a match great. She's got that tough physique, you know. And it would be a good matchup for her and Rhea, 100%. It would have to make sense also. And I can't get behind Bianca and Jade currently when it comes to portraying like a feud of any way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? It's just not believable. Like right now, Rhea's and she has been in a hot feud for what? More than 6 months now with the Judgment Day and Liv and Dom, and like this is good stuff. And I just don't see it going over with the fans for a WrestleMania match between the two of them. I just don't think it would be a big marquee matchup. On paper for Rhea, it would be great. Don't get me wrong. It would be a tough match. I just don't. I don't believe in Bianca currently.
But I'm not really. I've never been sold on Bianca Belair. I mean, do you think that Rhea could help her with her mic skills? Do you think? I mean, okay, competitively she's okay, but if you watched Bad Blood, both Cargill and Bianca both hosted the PLE, and it was cringeworthy, man. Like everything about that all of their moments were just cringeworthy.
Yeah, and they're not great on the mic at all.
You think
I don't think
can help her with the mic skills?
No. No. Bianca's held the highest title she could possibly hold within the company. She's ran with it for months upon months. And nothing really ever improved on the mic at all. I don't think Rhea Ripley will help that case. I think if it was a match, it'd be like, just a basic grudge match of some sort. That would happen between the two. I don't think it would be anything spectacular on the mic. I don't think Rhea would help her on that. But yeah, I think there's so many other matches Rhea Ripley could be having at a WrestleMania moment outside of Bianca. That would make more sense. But hey, change my mind. I would love it. I would love to, but current state right now, I don't even know what the hell Jade and Bianca are doing. No idea. Yeah. They're champs, right?
They're champs. But
I don't know who they're feuding with. I don't know anything along those lines. And I think the big match that could come out of this and they should be like working on it sooner and later is Bianca versus Jade. Let's break this up. Let's get one of them going heel. Yeah. One portray the babyface, and I think that would improve both of them on the mic. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think that would be a hot feud. I think it would be good. I think it would be great, and I think that would be the best match that Bianca could have at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm as we are on the road to WrestleMania 41, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to come about of the feuds and what they're going to set up and everything like that. And
I would like to point out WrestleMania 41 is on 420. Just throwing that out there. Isn't it?
Are you serious?
I'm pretty positive it's on 420. I'll have to look. Let me look it up.
Go ahead and look that up.
WrestleMania, and I'm pretty sure it's actually on Easter Sunday. Yeah, Saturday, April 19th, 2025, Sunday, because 2-night event, April 20th. So like this would.
I'll be down
in Vegas. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to try to get tickets. This would be great.
Yeah, right.
Listen,
you can be a reporter.
I'm still not sold on Jade Cargill. I definitely liked Bianca better as a singles wrestler. I thought she was more believable as a singles wrestler. And I don't know what to do with Jade. If I'm not sold on her now, am I going to be sold on her if she goes back to being a singles? I mean, especially with the point Barry just made. I don't know. I honestly want Bianca back in the singles arena because she's so much better there. but you need to get her a mouthpiece because she's okay on the mic, but she could use some improvement.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the hype came from with Jade Cargill from AEW to WWE.
She just looks like a star.
Yeah, looks like a star, absolutely. But
totally.
Just something's not clicking. And it shouldn't be like that because I think she could really be, at the top of that division very easily.
But I don't know what it is about her that she just doesn't have the oomph about it.
Well, you have to convince people you're not just playing yourself. You got to play a character in some way, shape, or form. This is the name of wrestling. Oh, yeah. And she's not playing a character; she's just playing herself. Which sometimes that could work, but in this case, it's not working at all. She's just being herself, and there's nothing. That's why a heel turn and a turn on Bianca could change everything for her, and I think would move her in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree with that.
In time, absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I've like I said, Bianca, like watching Bad Blood, Bianca and the Jade Cargill thing, them hosting, even when they were up in the private box, was just dumb. It was just cringeworthy. I couldn't really watch much of it, man. I had to mute it. So that's just the truth, man. Like I watched Bad Blood live, and I don't even remember them being there. Yeah, well, they started the damn show off.
I guess they did.
Samantha Irvins announced that they were the hosts of Bad Blood. I'm like, we have commentators for this. Why the fuck do we need hosts?
Yeah, it's really bad, and they're not sure what direction they're going with someone when they're hosting a show and they're champions.
Exactly.
There should be some contenders for them, and I don't think there's a strong enough currently tag team women's division to really, break them out.
Yeah, I'll say that about the women's division in WWE. It may be far from perfect right now. The talent is there. They just need to get better at taking the time and not just putting champs on and not just putting like multiple women matches on like we've seen recently. Like once in a while is fine. But if that's all we're doing, they got to get better at it. I feel like it's taken a bit of a step backwards. Yeah. One thing that I do want to address, and I know this has come up in the news, and we've seen this in the last media scrum, and someone asked Triple H this, and I didn't really dig this. When race is becoming a point, it's like, look, wrestling is not about race. I mean, yes, it is nice to get a nice, stretch of different cultures in your product. That's lovely. That's great. A little international stuff from this. We got Sheamus from Ireland. We got someone from Africa. We got whatever, But it should, like Triple H said, it should be about talent. It should never be about race. It should never be, we have to have this black person on. We have to have this Indian person. It should never, ever be about that.
No, but also the reporters, this is the type of shit they feed off of. Right. I mean, because that I watched that clip as well, and it's so unnecessary. They're just trying to poke at him and get some kind of shit out of him. Yeah. I mean, the bloodline is the biggest story in wrestling. There's no other story in wrestling that is bigger than the bloodline. They're Samoan.
Yeah, it's been the biggest. It's been the biggest story.
There's nobody even close in wrestling to be on that level, in my mind, at least.
And it's huge culturally.
That
they put the culture in there. With the Uma, I'm sorry, what is it called? The Umafala?
Yeah.
So they express that too. It's just,
it's just stupid reporter journalists just trying to feed something off of it. And I think those comments came from what happened with MVP, Lashley, and all that transpired with WWE, and now they went to AEW. I think there was a little, drama that stirred out from that. But yeah, it's just reporters being idiots because the biggest fucking storyline in wrestling is bloodline.
Right.
And I mean, come on.
So really quick, it's Ula Fala, and 2 weeks ago I couldn't have told you that. Somehow,
I'm glad you knew because I was like, man, I don't remember what the fuck to call it.
I always just call them the big red peppers. I'm like, man, you throw this shit on a salad? No, man, they put it on a rope and they wear it as a necklace. It's freaking cool, man.
I'm not saying you're gonna see this, Roman, but if you see this, I apologize for J Bone's comment just now because I acknowledge the OTC.
I acknowledge the OTC as well. Yeah,
it's been a while. We all acknowledge him, but probably about 5 years ago on this show, I can probably recall many times where all four of us, said "fuck Roman Reigns." Yeah. But now it's like, okay, I get it.
Let me tell you something, guys. I acknowledge the Jacob Fatu. That Jacob Fatu is a stud. I mean, he is literally a stud. He's got like 15 kids. That guy can just go.
Listen,
genetic jackhammer.
Just because you're afraid of what Jacob Fatu can do to you,
don't leave him alone because he is going. I mean, he's just making babies and just slamming people and jumping off of top ropes. He's fucking awesome.
J-Bone, just because you're afraid of what Jacob Fatu can do to you doesn't mean you got to acknowledge him.
Hey, I mean, real recognize real though. Honestly, I mean, I acknowledge the OTC, but then Jacob Fatu, man, he is a scary guy.
He's a scary guy, but I ain't acknowledging him. All right, if there's one person I'm acknowledging, and that is the OTC Roman Reigns.
Yeah. J-Bone, and to go back to your point of Jacob Fatu having tons of kids, so did Heath Slater. Okay? Heath Slater has kids. Think about him.
I love Heath Slater, man. He lives in in a little shack out in the woods, man. I love the Slater Heath. He's great, man.
Is he still wrestling?
He is.
Is he? I don't. Where at? I wonder.
He was in TNA. I think right now he's just doing indie stuff, probably healing up. He's had a long career.
I knew he had, yeah, definitely. I knew he was on TNA for a while. I couldn't remember if he's.
He didn't do so good in TNA. Unfortunately, he had a really bad injury. But yeah, he. I'll tell you what, man, loudest pop in the crowd when he came out.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to some AEW news. And before we get to some notable results from WrestleDream, and of course, a question of the day, what your thoughts on AEW WrestleDream were, you can let us know in the comments. Let's talk about some other news that came out of AEW prior to the show, WrestleDream. The news that Jimmy Jacobs has left the company. Jacob joined AEW as a producer in June of 23 after 6 years as part of the TNA creative team. Now, prior to that, he had a similar role in WWE from 2015 to 2017, where he was credited with being the man behind Chris Jericho's List of Jericho and the Festival of Friendship segment, where Kevin Owens memorably turned on Jericho. Shortly after becoming All Elite, Jacobs explained that he left TNA after becoming creatively burnt out. Rather than writing for the company, Jacobs said his role was more to format shows as well as organize and communicate information. Now, according to Fightful Select, Jacobs effectively resigned in the last week at AEW, but is still on amicable terms with his former employer. Fightful said that Jacobs had been burned out recently. It said that the people who worked most closely with Tony Khan, Jacobs was the person who had gone to the most of the TV tapings. And the reports also note that AEW is looking at the change as an opportunity to freshen up the writers' room. So, yeah, and when Jacobs left the TNA, a lot of the comedy went too. So maybe, and watching AEW, watching Dynamite and the weekly shows and things like that, even into the pay-per-views, it does seem to lack something. I think that there's this, and we've talked about this numerous times, but AEW is just lacking something. And I'll be honest, we're going to go into some of the notable results from WrestleDream, but I was not impressed with WrestleDream like at all. And I know that Baron missed it. Max, did you catch any WrestleDream at all?
I caught the tweet that was sent to me of the ending of a match. That's about the extent of what I saw.
And what match was that?
The Anna Jay versus Harley match.
Okay. I don't know what it is. J-Bone, you enjoyed WrestleDream, right? You're muted, bud. You're muted, J-Bone. J-Bone, you're muted.
Unmute.
Unmute, bud.
I am so sorry.
I loved it. He was just going on and on.
He was fucking going on a hell of a rant.
Yeah,
I did not have the time between last night getting off of work late at after midnight and this morning to watch all of it, but I did catch a majority of it to watch at least the results and catch some of the action and some of the important points. There was a lot of comebacks, a lot of surprises.
There were,
man, yeah. It was something.
There were a lot of comebacks. Let's go ahead and get into some of the notable results from AEW WrestleDream. And of course, your favorite moment, if you're listening, you can leave in your the comments below. Let's talk about the singles match between Switchblade Jay White and Hangman Adam Page. Decent match with Jay White hitting the Blade Runner on Page for the win. Mariah May.
Good to see him back.
Absolutely, yeah. Mariah May and Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's World Championship. Gonna be honest here, I'm glad they kept the belt on May because I just can't stand Willow's gimmick at all. Never have, never. I just can't do it, man. Mariah May retains. I know. For the TNT Championship between Jack Perry and Katsuyori Shibata, a big, honestly, bit of a snoozer for me. Jack Perry kept the belt. AEW International Championship three-way between Will Ospreay, Konosuke, Takeshita, and Ricochet. Honestly, this was match of the night number one for me. A bit of a shocker, too, as Kyle Fletcher turned heel on Ospreay and hit him in the back of the head with a screwdriver, giving Konosuke the victory. And the new International Championship is Takeshita. It was kind of cool to see Jerry Lynn backstage with his message to Orange Cassidy, which I felt the message was kind of stupid, saying that he has never seen anyone like Cassidy and told him that he dressed up as him for Halloween. But all in all, he told him that he can be the man if he really wants to be. And Hook showed up, of course, to clarify that Orange really is the man. I can't stand Hook. I'm just so over him. What seems to be just a week, MVP and Shelton Benjamin had been interrupting Prince Nana to talk Swerve into joining their ranks, but gave MVP a resounding no, which led to a big face-off between Benjamin and Swerve. And I think a heel turn is coming on Swerve's part soon, and Prince Nana will be left in the cold. I think they're gearing up for this. Singles match between Darby Allin and House of Black's Brody King. Darby Allin wins after a coffin drop from the top turnbuckle as King laid on the ring steps. The Young Bucks and the Private Party. Young Bucks retain the tag titles. We're going to talk about what backstage news there is between Private Party and the Young Bucks. Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. Also, there's some news with MJF and his thoughts on the return of Jon Moxley. But for Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, that was match of the night number 2. We have a new world champion, Moxley, as a result of Danielson passing out after a pile driver and submission. As the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club made their way to the ring, they again attack Bryan by suffocating him with a freaking bag. Darby Allin comes out, saves the day, but ends up getting tied up by duct tape to the ropes. The rest of the locker room clears out to the ring, and they go black. And honestly, they all did a really good job showing their concern for Daniel Bryanson, and including Excalibur. He started crying on the mic, and he was noticeably shook up by this. And I thought that was really cool to send Brian out that way, as not a, just he's going out for neck surgery, and this is just a good way for him to just leave, just be injured and leave. He doesn't need a big send off or anything like that, since he already kind of got it when he won the world championship on the last pay-per-view. But we also had the return of Adam Cole to spark up a feud between MJF and Cole, and it's time now to go to the desk of Max Magis, and we're going to specifically talk Adam Cole's in-ring future after WrestleDream. So, of course, during the pay-per-view, Daniel Garcia ran in and stopped Jack Perry from attacking Shibata after their TNT title match, but then MJF unexpectedly returned and interrupted Garcia. MJF mentioned that while he was away, he had been making movies and a lot of money. He also said that he got his Dynamite Diamond ring back from the pawn shop where Daniel had sold it. Cole's ankle injury, which he suffered at AEW Grand Slam last year, and involved fractures in 3 different areas, had a major impact on Cole's career. However, he did make his return at WrestleDream last night, and details about his in-ring future have now been revealed. Cole's return last night during the spot between Garcia and MJF. Of course, he could be seen running down the ramp, and he seemed to not have any issues and said he's been cleared to compete. But Max, does it seem kind of odd to you that Adam Cole obviously is the leader of the Undisputed? That's Adam's faction, but they're heels, and Cole came out as a face. What is that? How does that coincide with one another, man?
Well, the first question I would ask is he still in charge? I mean, he's been gone for a while. Maybe they've taken matters into their own hands. But here's something else you got to take into consideration.
But you would think, but before you get into that, you would think that they would have said that on TV, like, hey, you know what? Adam Cole's been out for so long. We're just not going to, he's not a part of the Undisputed anymore.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, Big E's been gone for a while, and they didn't talk about him no longer being a member of New Day when Xavier and Kofi kind of had their out a couple weeks ago on Raw. It's you don't always have to talk about taking a member out of your faction. They've been gone a while. The fans have kind of, obviously not all the fans, but some of the fans will have moved on and not even care if they were a part of that. And after an injury, you typically return as a face anyway. I've only seen one man come back from an injury where he was out for several months, return into the ring, and the fans tried to treat him as face, but he still returned as heel. And that is Chris Jericho. He came out, grabbed that mic. The fans are going nuts. They're cheering for him. And he goes, and he runs around and slaps hands. Doesn't say a single word on the microphone. It was one of the best heel returns I have ever seen because he played with them, but he never confirmed, hey, thank you for your cheers, anything like that. You typically return as a face. Now, is Adam Cole going to go back to Undisputed Kingdom? We don't know yet. Maybe. I know right now he wants to get his hands on MJF. And damn, that's going to be a good feud. Mm-hmm. Let's let that feud happen and enjoy that feud because this might be the only chance we get to see those two feud.
Yeah, but what about a feud between he and Jon Moxley? He warned fans about Jon. And honestly, I mean, WrestleDream brought a lot of surprises as MJF and Jon Moxley stole the spotlight, making waves in the wrestling world. And after a break from in-ring action to film Happy Gilmore 2, MJF made his anticipated return, attacking Garcia following the TNT title match. Drama escalated when Adam Cole came back out to fend off MJF. Returning backstage, MJF revealed that he would immediately head back to continuing the movie making for Happy Gilmore 2. Meanwhile, Jon Moxley emerged as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion after a grueling match between Daniel Bryanson and he. And the bout ended with Moxley choking out Danielson, forcing him to retire full-time from wrestling as stipulated the match's conditions. Now, this marks a major turning point for both AEW and Danielson's career. But after the event, MJF took to Twitter to remind fans that he warned them about Moxley's transformation into a more dangerous figure, stating, and I quote, "Warned y'all about Dictator John. No one listens to Maxwell," end quote. Now, if these two, Baron, if these two feud, that's going to be awesome. Honestly, it might make AEW just a wee bit more watchable. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think MJF and Moxley would be great. Yeah, I'm all for that for sure. So is it official? Like Danielson, is he done? Was this it? Was this officially it, or was this like?
I think this is officially it because he's got some. I think he still has to go get neck injury or neck surgery, and I think he's just done, and especially after losing a belt. I don't think we're going to see Brian much more.
Yeah, obviously I seen a lot of clips and a lot of stuff on the Twitter about X, whatever we're calling it, about last night's show. I must have missed the buildup for the Moxley and Bryanson, Daniel Bryanson.
Mox
Daniel Bryan. Like I
mean, it had been building up.
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, because Mox came back.
Yeah.
Mox came back, and didn't he come back on a pay-per-view? J-Bone didn't he come back on a pay-per-view to attack Brian to suffocate him?
No, he came back. No, he came back before that. He came back after a while, and he came out to the ring during an interview segment with Tony Schiavone, and it was really weird. It was Moxley on the mic is weird sometimes. It's like his points are, you got to really dig to understand some of his points. But he said something to the effect of, "This is not your company anymore." So that made it feel like there's some kind of invasion angle. What's going on? Is Mox going in for himself? What's happening? So that right there drew a lot of questions. He came out with Shafir, and she's been just wrecking people. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I don't know when she's going to get in the ring as a singles person, but she's just been part of that wrecking crew. Crazy. And then when Brian became champ and his crew came out to congratulate him,
they turned
on him and brutally attacked him with the bag over the head and everything. So, and that
they tried to suffocate his ass.
Also happened last night by the hands of Wheeler Yuta, which crazy.
Wheeler Yuta had been up in the air about what he was going to do as far as, is he going to team up with Daniel Bryanson or Bryan Danielson? Is he going to go back to the Blackpool Combat Club? And he kind of made his choice last night when he turned on Bryan, and which makes sense. I mean, if Bryan's out if he's leaving the company, what's Wheeler going to do? Of course, he's going to go back to Blackpool Combat Club and run with those guys. So, it was interesting to see that last night. That was actually one of the matches that actually caught my attention, other than the Will Ospreay triple threat match. But some more backstage news out of WrestleDream. Of course, the Young Bucks defended their AEW tag team championships against Private Party, and the match was exciting with lots of close calls, and the crowd started cheering more for Private Party. Despite their best effort, though, Private Party couldn't win, and they were noticeably upset, and the Young Bucks held on to their titles, extending their reign to over 171 days. Now, according to Fightful Select, many people backstage were pushing for Private Party to win at WrestleDream and to get their first AEW title since debuting 5 years ago. Their storyline was about trying to prove themselves again, and after an early win over the Young Bucks didn't make them stars. However, the decision was made to let the Young Bucks keep the titles, even though many pushed for Private Party to win. And if we can pull up that comment from Barry in the chat from our Twitch feed, The Young Bucks, he says, seem to be annoying a lot of fans and not in a fun way. I get the impression a lot of AEW fans are just bored shitless by the Young Bucks. I agree. I mean, I think that the fans are just tired of the Young Bucks and not necessarily their gimmick, but I think that they're just tired of them, period. You know, and we've talked about this. We've talked about them on the show quite a bit. Max, I think you've been kind of vocal about the Young Bucks and their take and run in AEW. Do you feel like the way many people were pushing backstage for Private Party to get the tag titles, do you think that was a smart choice, or do you think that it was a good decision to leave the titles on the Bucks?
I think it's a good idea to take the titles off the Bucks. Does that mean Private Party? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, Private Party is not their best tag team, but neither is the Bucks. I think the Bucks have too much power, too much ego, too much control, and I think they need to be brought back down to earth. Now, to do that effectively, you want to put the belts on somebody that they would least expect to be in a tag team title hunt, and for that purpose, Private Party would work great because I'm sure they're very talented, but their gimmick just doesn't do anything for me. But yeah, let's get those belts off of the Bucks at least, because they don't need them. They're the elite. They don't need belts to be the elite.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like we go through this every time they have a match on the show. You know, the Young Bucks are great. You know, they're good. I've just kind of seen it for a very long time now with the Bucks. And especially when you have some ownership going on and, you know, you should be doing some stuff in the backstage area. I think you definitely want to put those belts on a younger, you know, tag team. I mean, like, this is how we move the needle here, you know? You just can't continually have this tag team be the champion. So I totally agree with that comment. I don't know if it's really pissing a lot of people off. I just don't think people are quite, you know, like, it's just kind of like, you know, it's kind of put its stain on the tag team division in my mind. Just because they don't need to. We need to develop. They're not develop anybody in this company. And I don't care what anybody ever says. They do not develop any. They've developed a couple. Don't get me wrong. Sorry. But like you got to get some younger, fresh faces in there. And Young Bucks have been holding that title for how long now?
171 days.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and this is like their fourth reign, maybe third.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Like that.
Yeah.
I can see both sides of it. Like I love Private Party, and I love what they're doing. They're still, you know, super athletic. I feel like they're like just like a younger, another just a step below what the Young Bucks are, because I feel like the Young Bucks are still doing what they're doing really well. But yeah, I get like, I love the Young Bucks, and right now they're in the middle of this big thing where they're the elite, and Okada's on top doing what he's doing, and Jack Perry's shit. Jack Perry beat a legend last night. I mean, Shibata's nothing to sneeze at, and Shibata was just killing him. But Jack Perry beat him. So I mean, I'm gonna respectfully disagree with how they're not. You said they're not putting over younger talents or making younger talents. I mean, they got Daniel Garcia. You got Jack Perry as a solo guy now, who is just wrecking people on the rise. You got new talents like Kyle Fletcher in there. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's just you just gotta look for the, you know, right storyline. It might catch your eye, but they're doing it. It's not perfect, but they're doing it.
Well, I think the elite as a whole, because, you know, we have two single wrestlers, and then we have the tag titles. And
right.
I think for the tag team specifically, I don't think the Bucks are doing what they need to be doing, because look, look, the Bucks are experienced. They're veterans in this, and they know they know what they're doing. And they, just like every other tag team that comes into AEW, they're looking to better themselves. They're looking to grow. They're looking to get a title run. But I think to Baron's point, I think the Bucks are not doing what they need to be doing to teach the younger talent. But and that is specifically for the tag team division.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's a lot, honestly, I don't think that there's a lot of tag teams in AEW besides FTR and the more notable ones, Private Party and things like that. I mean, how many tag teams do we have for the Bucks to put up?
Well, here's the thing. You have a roster of over fucking 500 fucking people. Create some tag teams, man. Like, it can't. Will Ospreay, Ricochet, put them as a tag team. Let's see some shit happen here. That'd be beautiful. I would love to watch that.
Oh, I'm sure that's down the pike.
Yeah, I think that would be great. That would be a great duo to take those belts off of the Young Bucks. It's not about not producing stars, I guess, per se, in my mind. It's producing the division, I should say, because I agree that I feel like the tag team division kind of lacks on the show, especially, and it really shouldn't when you have that many people. So, you know, I think they should do some developing of getting some more tag teams in there or something along those lines.
Yeah, they do. I'll say that they do need some fresh tag teams, because some of the older teams, you're seeing guys like Brody King, you know, break out on his own. The Butcher and the Blade. The Blade's done, sadly. So Butcher's breaking out as a solo star now. So yeah, you've got some of these teams that were with AEW from almost day one that you need some new teams. And a lot of people thought Motor City Machine Guns was going to be one of those teams, not that they're new by any means, but it would have been new to the brand. So, but that ain't happening.
It would have been a decent shakeup in the tag team division, you know, because I mean FTR has been off TV for a while. You really don't have the tag team division that you need. So who are the Young Bucks going to drop the titles to? If they don't believe that Private Party is going to be the tag team title or the tag team to drop the titles to, if they're not ready for it, who are you going to drop it to? You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, get a couple more tag teams in there.
Yeah.
Give the Young Bucks, something to fight for when it comes to like storyline wise with the tag team, and like help develop out some. Because the Young Bucks can do that. They're great. They're fantastic. They're one of the best tag teams of all time. But there's just too many. We say it every time we talk about AEW. There's just too many people on the roster. They're just all over the place with this develop. Like storylines and stuff. It's hard for me to even keep up anymore. It's like what the hell's going on? Then you need to slow it down a little bit. Go back to the basics.
Well, that's why you got to watch shows like this, because that's where the primary stuff does come out. You got stuff with Swerve happening that's new and different now. You got the return of Jay White, which is exciting. You had this stuff building up with Mox and his crew versus Bryan Danielson. You got some stuff in the women division. There's all sorts of stuff. You just gotta look for it.
Yeah, there is. But the problem is that it's only happening within a 3-week period. Like there's just a new one happening. It's not. There's no build long. I mean, there is some long-term booking for sure.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I literally watched one Saturday on Dynamite, Ospreay versus Ricochet.
Yeah,
and then we get it at a PLE. Pay-per-view, whatever we're calling it. It's just confusing to me. I don't know what's going on 90% of the time.
I don't know who has the mindset of how to of who's doing the booking there, but they're booking like Japan, man. Like, because we've seen this, we've tried to keep up with Japan, like New Japan Pro Wrestling, and there's not a lot of people that air tapings of New Japan, but that's just it. their shows are never live, so we can't keep up with the storylines. You know, if something happens on a pay-per-view and it happens next week on a show, we're not seeing that. You know, we're not seeing the constant changes, and that's the problem with AEW.
I think
we're just leapfrogging from one lily pad to another. Like, hey, let's focus on this, but gotta hop over to this one to see what we can do with this storyline. Or we're just I don't know who it is, man. I don't know who is doing the booking. I don't know if it's Tony Khan calling the shots. I mean, it is, but I don't know who his writers are for creative.
Here's what I think we should do. I think we need to send Max on assignment, and it's time for him to take over the booking for all AEW.
Do it, Max.
You know, it's funny you mention that, because I was actually I'm currently doing some digging, going back PLE by PLE, and I got to tell you, it's not just an AEW problem when it comes to tag teams. Jade and Bianca defending their titles against the Unholy Union at Bash in Berlin, but I'm all the way back to Clash at the Castle, and I haven't seen the men's WWE titles, Raw or SmackDown, defended on a PLE yet this year.
Yeah, well, we talked about it the last show with Bad Blood. I mentioned, like, where is JD and drawing blank.
Finn,
thank you. Finn, why are they not? Because they've had one or two title defenses since they've won, and they've won that belt a long time ago. I want to say they've had a pretty good reign on that, or title length for that belt. But I agree, it's not just AEW. I totally agree. I feel like WWE is also, in a sense, lacking. I feel like there's a little too much stable battles happening within that. We forget about the tag team. I totally agree.
And sadly, as much as we sit here and talk about how we're not a big fan of the Bianca Belair Jade Cargill tag team, they're getting the PLE time, because I'm at King and Queen in the Ring. They defended their titles there. Yes, it was pre-show, but the men didn't defend their titles at King and Queen in the Ring. They aren't even on the card in any way. But Bianca and Jade opened the show in the pre-show. And it's one of those things where, yes, I could probably do a better job over in AEW, but all the companies really need help with their tag team division right now. And the best thing for it would be for us all to split up, the four of us, and go pick a company and whip them into shape.
Whatever show lives on, I'll go ahead and just take that one, and I'll run that show. That's fine. No problem. No, I agree. That's a good point, though. I mean, the more you think about it, it does overall lack. But also, I feel like tag teams over the last probably decade have lacked in general. I don't think there's a lot of the fan base isn't quite invested into the tag team wrestling, unfortunately. But yeah, that's a good point. And the more you think about it, it's not just an AEW thing. WWE is also doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. Good point, Max. Good point.
Very good point. And that's a discussion that probably could take over the whole show. I feel, about what's wrong with not only AEW, but what's going on with WWE, but also what's going on with TNA, man. Let's dive into J-Bone's total nonstop analysis. Not a lot of news going on in TNA that, as far as I can see, except for this, during TNA's Thursday Impact episode, it was revealed that Matt and Jeff Hardy would take on ABC's Ace Austin and Chris Bay in the reigning tag team champions Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards in a high-stakes match at the pay-per-view event, which would be, Bound for Glory. The Hardys, renowned for their history in hardcore matches, returned with one of their signature stipulations. Full Metal Mayhem promises an intense showdown where anything goes, with ladders, chairs, tables, oh my. They're all expected to come into play as the teams compete for the TNA gold. In addition to the tag team clash, 2 more exciting matchups have been added for Bound for Glory lineup knockouts. World champion Jordan Grace will defend her tag title against the hard-hitting Masha Slamovich. And I hope I pronounced that correctly, Jay.
No, you did. That was great.
Cool. And that sets up to be a brutal contest. Also, a grudge match between Moose and Mike Santana has been confirmed, adding even more intensity to the card. So, J-Bone, folks must be excited for the possible tag team run from the Hardy Boys, and Bound for Glory seems to be set up as a pretty good card, man.
Yeah, it's definitely ramping up. We're pretty excited about it as TNA fans. If you go to the event page and you look at that card, man, it's loaded. It's even the buildup has been pretty good. You got stuff coming up this week. Pick Your Poison match, which is always fun. So you got Nick Nemeth facing off with Matt Cardona, and that's a classic. These two have had a hell of a career, and it's just cool to see it on a different stage. You know, two guys that have gone on forever against each other so many times in the WWE, but now they're at 2 separate points. Nick Nemeth's champ. Matt Cardona is a hardcore guy just coming back from injury. This rise of Joe Hendry is so fun to watch.
I believe.
Yeah, and Full Metal Mayhem for Bound for Glory for the tag titles for these 3 tag teams is going to be fun too. The one thing I will talk about, and I talked about this briefly on TNI, but I want to talk about it here real quick. The whole thing with Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich really kind of threw me for a loop. There had been a lot of stuff going on with the NXT push, and Wendy Chu and Rosemary and all this stuff, you know, going after Jordan Grace. And it seemed like it was Wendy Chu had her chance at the TNA Knockouts title. It seemed like this was all going to eventually build up to Rosemary with this comeback she's had lately, and she's doing a whole new thing, you know, with the Wendy Chu and this new dark angle, which is out of the realm of Decay itself, and seemed like she was going to get her shot at Jordan for Bound for Glory. It's not what's happening. So when all this stuff happened on this last episode of TNA, I was shocked. I'm like, they're going with the Masha Slamovich angle? Okay. It really threw me for a loop. And it's nothing against Masha. I love Masha. She is a hell of a talent in this company, outside of the company. She's even having intergender matches like crazy against men. So yeah, she is badass. And if she is going to truly be the one to take the title off of Jordan Grace, it's not going to be easy, because Jordan Grace has been lining them up and knocking them down.
It's an exciting time at TNA, and
really is.
Max, I think you've come to the conclusion of where you were going to split us up to what promotion we're going to. So Max, where are we going, man?
All right. In an effort to help out the most people in the best way possible, I have chosen to accept the challenge offered to me of fixing the problems with AEW's bookings. J-Bone is our TNA expert, so J-Bone obviously has to go to TNA. Yeah. Baron requested Liv Morgan, therefore Baron gets Raw. That leaves Dizzy going to SmackDown. Watch out for the Bloodline, my friend.
Yeah. I'll just make friends with the Bloodline, and hopefully they'll leave me alone.
And Solo? Oof, good luck, bro.
I know.
Wait. Well, there's a couple Bloodlines. I mean, there's, Jimmy's helping Roman now, and it sounds like they're going to get some help.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go hang with Roman. Honestly, I'm going to go hang with Roman and Jimmy, and I'm going to convince Jay to come over to the brand and help us out, and possibly bring back Paul. See if I can get Paul to come back. Like, look, man, I'm here. You need to be here too, bro.
Where is Paul? What is going on with Paul Heyman?
He was clobbered.
He was attacked.
Oh, I know that, but like he's been out for quite some time. I expected a return with Roman during that.
Yeah, well,
he's still in a hospital bed in Philly, dude. It's ugly.
I figured we'd have the return go in the order that they went out. Roman went out first, then Jimmy, and then Heyman. Now that Roman's back and Jimmy's back, Heyman will be next. But Heyman did an interview recently, and I thought it was a really interesting interview because this was before Jimmy's return, before Roman's return. He said for the Bloodline story, the overall story, we're only in about the third inning of the story. Mm-hmm. Listen, we all know Samoans are like rabbits, okay? I love the Samoans, but they reproduce. All right.
Yeah, they do.
If we are only in the third inning, how big? We're not going to have room for anybody else on SmackDown. We're going to push them all over to Raw. It's going to be all Samoan SmackDown. You just watch, okay? This is going to be huge. And I got to say, the way he talks about it, the way Heyman was talking about the fact that we're only in the third inning, we have so much story left. It's going to be big. It's going to be good. And I cannot wait to see what they have in store for us.
Instead of main event Saturday night, it can be Samoa Saturday night.
I would gladly spend Saturday night in Samoa.
Exactly. Well, that is the show for this Sunday afternoon, and we thank you for watching. And in case you chose us over football, I do want to give you some updates on the games. Of course, the final between the Bears and the Jags, the Bears won. They beat the Jaguars 35-16 today.
The Bears.
Tony's gonna be pissed.
No shit. The Buccaneers are currently over the Saints 31-27 in the third quarter. The fourth quarter of the Ravens and the Commanders, the Ravens are leading by 7 points, 27-20.
Commanders.
I know.
Who the fuck are the Commanders?
I know. Ravens are kicking
Washington.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the Washington? Oh, don't get me started.
The Redskins, and now they're the Commanders. I know.
No.
It's just like the Cleveland Indians are now the Guardians. So
you missed a step in there, Dizzy. They were the Redskins, then they were the Washington football team.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Then they became the Commanders.
While they were still trying to figure out who the fuck are we? We're just going to call ourselves the Washington football team. So stupid.
It's you know what? I'm gonna fucking say it. I don't care, dude. It's like you're erasing a culture. How fucking dare you? Unbelievable.
Well, to be fair, they are actually currently trying to get that name back into football because they realize the importance of the chief, being attached to that. So, I mean, they're attempting, but just.
Yeah.
But, talk about football. We got the Cowboys coming on in about an hour, so everybody go watch that game.
Yeah. Let's
how those Packers doing?
Yeah, the Packers. I'm glad you asked. The Packers are 31-13 against the Cardinals in the fourth quarter. The Titans and the Colts. The Colts are over the Titans currently 20-17. Texans in the fourth quarter leading it 34-14 over the Patriots. And the Browns are falling to the Eagles in the fourth quarter, 20-13. Coming up later today, you have Chargers, Broncos, and Steelers, Raiders, Falcons, Panthers, Lions, Cowboys, which Barron is ready for, Bengals and Giants, and the Bills and the Jets tonight at 7:15. Or I'm sorry, tomorrow 7:15. Jets and the Bills. So there you go. That is the show for this afternoon, and let's go ahead and run down the list. Barron, how can they follow you? on the social media?
Find me at Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at Scumbag Jordan with three N's.
3 N's. Max.
If you want to see me talk about wrestling stuff, find me at Max Mages. If you want to see us talking about nerdy stuff, go to Our Shots Podcast.
There you go. J-Bone.
You can find me on the Twitter box at jbone5150. You can also find me hosting the weekly episodic podcast of Total Nonstop Impact, giving you all the stuff for TNA, along with our lovely UK team on Wednesdays. And you can also find me occasionally over on Smash This Podcast.
There you go. You can follow the show, our show, at the Ramblers Pod on X, Twitter, or whatever you want to call it. We're also on Twitch. Find us at Ramblers Unleashed. We're on Facebook at Ramblers Unleashed. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you know that we are going live. You can also subscribe, hit our numbers up, and we still need to get Max an address because we are over 200 subscribers. So, Max, where are you at with that, man?
Soon. I will be putting the order in on Tuesday. Should be here sometime. Wednesday or Thursday. Should be in sometime either next weekend or the weekend after.
Okay. There you go. And in the meantime, please enjoy professional wrestling and go enjoy some football today, too. And hopefully we'll be back on Saturday, normal time. So until then, enjoy pro wrestling, and we will see you later.
See ya.
Hiya.
Look at this
phone, my outro. There it is. Thank you, folks.
Thanks for tuning in to Ramblers Unleashed. Follow the show on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the bell icon for notifications of upcoming episodes.